In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys I remember, and that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know? It's not for the weak girls, if I'm honest. It was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Women are not men. We do not have their anatomy. And quite frankly, if a woman sleeps with a ton of men, that's going to screw her up psychologically. I have long been a critic of sex work, of hypersexualization, of prostitution, of sex-positive feminism, and just ultimately the way I believe sexual irresponsibility is being pushed and promoted with celebrities, with media personalities, and shoved down the throats of modern women. Like, it bugs me. It absolutely bugs me. Because I think it is some of these ideas that are the most detrimental to women's emotional, spiritual, and relational well-being. It's also these toxic ideas about sex and relationship that are literally undermining families and the capacity for women to have healthy and satisfying relationships. One of the main reasons women continue to engage in sex work and prostitution, we know it is literally one of the oldest professions out there. But secondly, there's a market for it. It's incentivized. It's promoted through artists. It's promoted through particularly Black female artists. It's showed in media. It's been a tenet of feminism. And we see ladies being handsomely compensated for selling the box. Like, it is what it is. And so as long as there's a market for it, there is going to be women who engage with it. But I want it to be clear that it is never, ever, ever without repercussion. People like to pretend that sex is just a physical act, that there aren't emotional and psychological and spiritual implications to it. And there absolutely are. Just the very anatomy of women means that when they've had countless men running in and out of them, like, that literally is going to do something to their brain. I believe in particular having a ton of sex screws up the brain and the psyche of women in a way that is unique to women. Microchimerisms, which is the idea that every single time a woman has sex with a man, there is genetic material of that man left in her body permanently. I know there's some different theories behind this. I think that's certainly an interesting idea. Like, imagine every single time a woman has sex with a man, he literally leaves an aspect of himself over in that woman's body. Let's say this woman has slept with 100 men. In the case of this particular woman we're going to review, that's unique DNA of 100 men in the body of one girl, one woman. That is going to mess up something. And so what I also don't like about hypersexuality is how they position it as if women can do the same things men can do. They cannot.
Like, more intense than you thought it might. So, okay. Just take it on it.
And listen, I think sexual irresponsibility can also be equally as toxic to men, right? I'm not saying like men can just be hoes and there's not side effects. There are. But I'm saying particularly for women, I believe it screws them up in a way that is unique. And so I wanted to go over this viral video I saw recently of an OnlyFans model. She went viral because she slept with 100 men in a day, and there's a YouTuber who documented it. And so after she finished her day, her work day of sleeping with 100 men in a day, she breaks down in tears, surprise, surprise, and she's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And 40 is still a lot of people. Like, imagine 40 people and be like, I'm not even halfway like done.
When was the last time you ate?
I think I had a yum yum. Yum yum, is that what they're called? A little pastry. And I think I had a sandwich, and that was and then the rest come. It's not for the weak girls, if I'm honest. It was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
It's not like just having sex with someone.
yeah. Just one in, one out. Like, it feels intense.
Like, more intense than you thought it might.
Surprise, surprise. She goes on to talk about how she felt numb, she felt disassociated after like the 10th guy she couldn't remember. She breaks this down. Let's listen to it.
It was good. It was more, I guess the interactions went like, I'd have to stop them early and like you'd have to stand on business and be like, I'm so sorry, you got to go. And like the awkward interaction of like you feeling pressure to have to make them come if like you haven't spent enough time with them and feeling like you didn't give them a good time because like they only got 2 minutes.
And that's what's making you feel emotional, is that maybe you think you didn't give some guys a good enough time today?
Yeah, and it's hard, I think, having the interactions with them when they're like, what, you're not gonna make me finish, I've come all this way, like kind of like guilt tripping me a little bit. I felt bad, like some people just travel so far, like I didn't want to give them a shit time and like come away from this and be like, oh, that's shit. I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the, I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this. And like, it just allows you like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys I remember, and that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know?
But even after all that, the psychological trauma, the confusion, the guilt, the disassociation, which by the way does speak to psychological trauma, like even after all of that, she announces that she is upping her challenge to sleeping not with just 100 men in a day, but to sleeping with 1,000 men in a day. And we know why she's doing this. It's all for business. It's all for money. It's all for play. And so my point is, yeah, there is money in this industry. As the economy continues to tighten, you're gonna see women look for more ways to try to exploit and get money out of men, whether it be through all these weird dating sprinkle tips that are stupid and just like a really low form of prostitution, or just basic prostitution itself. But either way, you're going to go see women try to sell their box for money. A lot of women aren't even gonna be able to do that successfully. They're gonna sell their box and still be poor and broke. By the way, Black women are the ones who are oftentimes getting the most exploited, generally speaking. Now, we do know that there is a few exceptions like Black China, Cardi B, like artists, Azalea Banks artists who did OnlyFans and made money. But outside of those rarities, by and large, Black women are actually being exploited in the sex industry. They're selling their box and not getting paid. Black girls in particular are the most likely to be involved in sex trafficking. So there's this glamorous side that people like to promote, and then there's a reality of what's actually happening and how damaging it is, particularly to little Black girls who grew up to be Black women who are just as broken and confused. But there's going to be some out there who actually are successful and able to do it with money, as in the case of this OnlyFans model, who, by the way, did not come from a poor family, who actually got into sex work during college when she was studying for something else. So you're going to have some people who are able to do it lucratively, a small percentage. But I'm saying, even if you're making a ton of money, is it really worth it? Is it really worth you having to likely be on some form of meds? When we talk about things such as sin, some of us hear that, maybe grew up in church, you have no idea what that is. But sin really at its core is anything that people do that are outside of God's design. And the reason God hates sin is because sin actually destroys people. It destroys humanity. It's not because God doesn't want us to have a good time. It's not because God doesn't want us to enjoy sex or doesn't want us to enjoy the beautiful things he's given us. No, it's because he doesn't want us to engage in things that destroy us. And so, yeah, it might be fun to have sex with 100 men. That may be fun or thrilling, but then there's going to be some long-term effects, and those effects are eventually going to lead to death, whether it be spiritually, whether it be emotionally, whether it be physically, whether it be all the above. The effects of sin are death. So I wanted to be very clear that even if a person is selling their body and they're just seeing it and the way that they rationalize it is that, oh, well, this is just an industry, this is just a way for me to pay bills, it's not without effect. And I think it is the sexual irresponsibility that also could be impeding women from actually connecting with men and engaging in real, fulfilling, and meaningful relationships that can give them a stable and content lifestyle away from all of this trauma. But anyways, just letting you know, if God says that sexual sin is bad, it's for a reason. He's trying to protect y'all. And in my position, is no amount of money is worth the person's soul and their emotional well-being. And I think the fact that this woman broke down the way she did and dissociated the way that she did is an indication to us that no matter how much money is in this industry, it's not natural, it's not healthy, and it's certainly not what God intends. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening. If you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.